Good evening. We are back after a King's birthday long weekend. The crew from Aussie Botcast is back for our next show, and we've been looking forward to this one. It's a bit of a heavy topic tonight, but we're going to have some fun around it, right? Even though there's some serious topics, and we're going to really try and do our best to help live true to what this podcast really started on, is tying community together, strengthening the community, and keeping the fun and the fandom. So my name is Gaza. I am the ever-loving host, except for times when my internet stream cuts out, and then the others will happily talk without me, and that's okay. So I've had a good week. I have just come back from Masters of the Universe. It's my first viewing. Took my eldest son to it. It's a long movie, but it's a great movie, and I think they've handled it very well. The subject of a overly muscle bound, giving my natural vocation, I was like, that's okay. But doing so in a way that is not toxic and having some fun with it, I thought it was a brilliant movie. And without diving into it too much, I think we live in a brilliant age where these movies and shine. And if you go see these things in the movies, even if it wasn't your most favorite childhood cartoon, the more we can support it, I think the more opportunity we get to see more of these IPs come to life again 40, 50 years later. And that's pretty damn cool, right? We all know the TF1 story, but if we can have other movies be enough of a success that we keep getting these stories, I think that's a beautiful thing. And they did it really well. I went down to Kmart too, got myself a shirt. I know there's been some chatter about the new Optimus Prime shirt that came out. Is that what you reckon I got? Who wants to lay a guess at the fashion example that I'm currently rocking under this fashionable naked jumper? What do you reckon's on it?
100% here, man.
What's the chatter with the Optimus Prime shirt? Is there like some sort of controversy?
There's a new Optimus Prime shirt at Kmart.
Okay.
Right.
I haven't heard about it, but
Don't give us a look, Gary.
So He-Man,
Yeah, He-Man.
I'm going
what
for
are your
Transformers.
guesses? He-Man? Transformers?
Yeah,
Anyone else?
Transformers.
I think
Hey, man. I
Transformers.
reckon hey, man.
Happy with it. Ready? It's Bubble
Don't tell me it cuts out at this moment.
It's no Bubble Like Bill.
Oh, sick.
Oh, no.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
That's awesome.
Oh,
God.
Completely threw us off, but that's a cool one.
Oh, that brings back memories. Do they even make those anymore? Or do they stop making them?
I,
I think the
that's
machine broke.
awesome, man.
It is
That's
the
so
single
cool.
hardest ice cream to eat as a child.
Oh,
That is, that is,
It
it was
that is
never
the
a good
thing.
idea to
Yeah.
mix ice cream and bubble gum. No.
That
If
is
you-
so
the
cool.
freezer was cold enough, that thing would be a rock, right? It would be an
Oh,
yeah.
absolute rock. So I was showing my wife, right? I love rocking the nerd shirt or two. I was showing my wife, and she's like, "What did you get?" I built it up a little, even without the internet connection, and she's like, "I love it. It's funny." I was like, "Thank you, gents. How was your week? You have a good one?"
Pretty
That
good.
one was pretty good.
Yeah.
Any adventures, misadventures? Megatron, Spartan, no, Bubble O Bill, that's what it was. My Little Pony. If it was a crossover, I probably would rock a My Little Pony shirt. I saw a lovely meme of Megatron riding a My Little Pony the other day. Speaking of fashion choices, very nice hat. Barney, very nice hat.
Well, they did make the My Little Ponies Transformer ones. You got an Optimus Prime pony. Yeah. They released a couple. I can't remember when, maybe a year or so back.
Well,
but yeah, you could get the little ponies with Optimus.
I think you can actually
Speaking
still get
of
it. I think it's
crossover-
actually kind of a shelf warmer.
Yeah, I don't think it was
Crossovers
popular.
is coming up in the news. Crossovers is coming up in the news. Should we get into it,
Nice.
gents?
Let's do it.
We're starting with fan art, and thank you to Fop for our brand new fan art intro. We pull out all the stops when it comes to our multimedia here at Aussie Botcast. I don't know which one
It's
of the
not
balding
bad.
ones I have, but I'm definitely one of them. And the two gentlemen with more hair in their face and their head than I've got, they're pretty obvious too. I think that one.
There we go. And the rest of us is left there so we can interchange when we change our people.
Beautiful.
Yeah, leaves a nice change. All right. And our first submission is from a junior fan, Fox's very own son, Magnus. I want to put this first and foremost because I think this is fantastic. And who remembers as a kid, drawing these scenes with your favorite robots or figures or characters, just creating these epic scenes. So Magnus, this is brilliant, absolutely brilliant, cool. And thank you so much for contributing. Buck, you got any insight into what's happening here? Because there is some.
Well, he's given me a large page to read, but I'll summarise it. So he's got a selection of weapons that shoot, smash, and there's even a living and chemically unstable one. There are also things that explode. So that's basically the first picture. Accessories, he has evaporators. There's liquid tubes going all around it. He's got a futuristic keyboard that tricks other Transformers into typing on it. And then they get sprayed with the evaporation liquid, obviously. This is all very, when I read it, it seems to make so much sense. Bot mode has multiple different weapons, up to 12. And you can see the liquid evaporation at the front still. So, yeah, which he's impervious to. So he's got quite the active imagination, which is wonderful.
I reckon he'd get on well with Stelios. Stelios told us a nice story in our group chat, our organisation chat earlier in the week. That is phenomenal. I love it.
Yes,
Electricity
he loves a good chit chat. He's like his dad.
Well, we love having you here, and Magnus, thank you so much for your contribution. Now we have a pencilist, Andrew Wildman, who has this wonderful version of Dino King, I believe, right? And then this was actually submitted. So this was sent to me. I love the detail in this. This is just phenomenal. Huh?
Yeah.
That's cool. And such an accurate shot as well.
Can I just say too, I'm a big fan of, sorry.
Oh, go on. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of combining Dinobots, so it's good to see them getting some love. I know it's a bit of a controversial one, but I love the whole Volcanicus thing. Big fan. Good work.
I got to admit, done well. It is what could be better than transforming robotic dinosaurs? Transforming 100%. Robotic dinosaurs,
and they combine.
Well, check this out. So this was sent to me by Stephen, and Stephen did the paint on this and brought this pencil to life. So he did it with Andrew's permission. So credit to both of you. You both did an amazing job. That is phenomenal.
It is beautiful.
It's a great collaboration. I like it.
Awesome.
Yeah, 100%. So we're going to have these segments in different frameworks in the future. We're going to have a photography section. We're going to have different creative outlets. So for our first one, in terms of fan contribution, so happy to have these contributions on board. That is phenomenal. We've got a 3D print. So the 3D print was done by Ian Lee, who is on Instagram. That's an Instagram tag there. So can you pick out who it is?
It's
like
Hot Rod. Yeah.
It's Hot Rod or Rodimus, one of the two.
Yep. And then this is the paint job that he did.
Oh,
this is Brad Schubert. Yeah. Scooby Garage is on Instagram, and he did an amazing job for that. If you check out his Instagram, he's got a reel, which we pulled this from, and it shows the production process, the painting, paints that he used, a nice 3D, and the 3D, this photo does it some justice, but the 3D is beautiful because from every angle, he's done an amazing job with the detail. So that's phenomenal. So those are our fan art submissions, and this is news. I tried to find an image to bring us into the news, and here is Optimus reading the paper and catching up on the news. So, with the news, Hasbro did a massive live stream, and they released a heap of figures. So, hot rod for the win, absolutely, Rob. So we're going to go through these news items, and keep in mind that our main focus isn't news. So we won't other shows that do it very well and cover all of the news. Our goal here is just take bits and pieces of it and show what we think is interesting at the time. But there's a lot of interesting stuff in the Hasbro live stream that we could have a chat about. So without further ado, let's go into the first figure. Age of the Primes, Voyager class, Vector Prime in his bot mode. Stel, are you happy?
Look, we kind of suspected that it wasn't going to be a brand new mold, but this, I actually really like the colors on it. I really like the orange and the gold. And look, the one that we have, it's not a terrible mold. It's just, it kind of stands out because it's the only one that's not an original mold. He's remolded from G-Axis, but I'm going to be getting this one anyway. I think I'll keep the other one as like just a Cybertron style one, but this is Vector Prime sort of in all his glory. So I'm going to be picking it up anyway. I think it looks really cool. Yeah.
I like the orange translucent plastic at the back that goes into his legs and his sword. I think that's a nice tie, and some interesting paintwork there. Any other thoughts, gentlemen, on the bot mode of Vector Prime or Vector Prime himself?
I like the cables on the legs. I think they look cool. Needs a bit of shading. A little bit of detail in there.
Yeah. I was the one in the camp of being a little bit disappointed that it wasn't a new mold, because again, they did actually say at some point in their live streams that each Prime would be their own mold. But I've got to say, I really do like this mold. It's not a bad mold at all. I much would have preferred a more faithful and accurate version, but still, this does the job. Has a new sword, looks cool. Is the actual, so this paint scheme is, I heard on, I think, Radio Free Cybertron, that this is the Galaxy Force version.
Yes.
So this is the paint scheme that he came out in Galaxy Force for their line, the Japanese line.
Yep.
And yeah, no, I'm keen for him. I'm going to do what Stelios is going to do. I'm going to put the white one on my Unicron Trilogy shelf and have this guy in my lineup of primes.
Yeah,
nice. And shout out to the Radio Free Cybertron guys, gents as well. They're the longest running podcast. They were here before everyone else, my understanding, and they're kind of the newest kids on the block. So it would be amazing to pick their brains at some point. But shout out to those, and they're a great source of news. Let's check out his old mode, but. Adam says has more paint than the original too, and Spartan likes the veins. They look like veins. It does. It looks like he's got an open wound on his leg. How cool would that be, actually, if someone was able to customize it open and just the veins running through his leg?
That's the only thing, because I have the original Cybertron Vector Prime, and the amount of sculpted detail on that thing was amazing, especially for the time. And like it had little cogs and clockwork and all this type of stuff going on with him. And this kind of does that with Jaxus's wiry leg thing. But I wouldn't have minded if they did more clockwork molding on him, to be honest, because he's basically the god of time, and clockwork goes with that. So
yeah,
he's got some nice decorations on his groinage area too. Kind of draws your eye in. He's peacocking a bit, old Vector Prime.
Yeah.
Uncle Chan. Welcome back, Uncle Chan. He'll be coming on the show soon. He's going to be one of our guests. Pre-ordered gold. Got to have it. I'm sure a lot of the previous ones will be thrown up for sale soon, and he'll be selling his. So he's excited. And Adam's back in the comments. He'd be selling, if it wasn't for the Galaxy Force paint in Japan. This is his alt mode. I like his old mode. It's one of those ships. I'm not sure what kind of ship it is, but I kind of like it. It's got like a Batwing element to it.
Can I ask a side question real quick? And this does affect Australians. Is it all good to pre-order from or just order from Amazon now? Because I ordered both Liege Maximo and Nexus Prime, and they just got cancelled on me for some reason. So is that? Do we know if that's all sorted or not? But
I've got a
good relationship.
Yeah, I've got a good relationship with Amazon. They deliver either to my post office or to my house, depending on the size of the order. I live rurally, so I'm about 2.2 or 2.4 kilometers from the nearest town. And I've never had anything bad happen, never had anything cancel. I think when the cancellations happen is like I ordered 2 of the Constructicons through Amazon because someone in the chat talked about it and I was just jumped on it for the good price. But then they had only 2 more left. So I think what might happen with Amazon if it's limited quantity is that they'll prioritize people who pay more for the item rather than paying the cheaper price. And then also the whole rigmarole of getting it sent over from the States, that's added cost. So
yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a bit hit and miss, I guess. But I've always had no problem with Amazon.
I've had no issue up until literally that order.
Right.
Yeah, there was a spate of recent orders that got sidelined for some reason, but I've never had a problem with them, and I've ordered from a few different Amazon Japan and the like as well. What do we think of this? Chuck it in the comments. Like it, hate it, want it.
I reckon it look again. The colors look better than the original. I think.
Yeah. I agree because it's hard to do make white interesting, and he is mostly white, whereas this is like it's more like I feel like there's more paint and like it's just a nice shade of like golden orange and black, and I just think that's a really sick color scheme.
It's just that little extra black on his wings that's just elevated it for me. I don't know. It's really looks a lot better.
Yeah, I agree.
It really does. It really does. Now we go to Swindle, because there's a lot of people want the combines. Swindle's in there. Mikey's throwing up his hands. We are celebrating. So we got a nice little Swindle mold here. Again from Hasbro Pulse, and he comes with his little trailer. Trailer.
I like it. I like that trailer. I think that trailer edition is just awesome. It makes that Jeep look better. Like on the Constructicons when they added the trailer, it didn't look good. It just looked like a bit of extra something on the end there. But this looks like it's a semi-decent looking trailer.
Yeah, I agree.
And you can imagine it kind of works with the military too, like throwing extra stuff behind, like weapons.
If you've got a trailer on purpose, I think can really add to a figure. 100%. So then we got Swindle. All right, we got Celebration for that. That's excellent. Go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, and it makes sense for Swindle to carry around some extra stuff because he's the guy that will sell his best mates out. So you know, it's probably filled with all the Combaticons items and things. Yeah, it's all the Combaticon stuff that he's selling. A gun for Bruticus.
Okay.
Yeah. I loved his interpretation in animated. Jason Murray will be on that, but I loved his interpretation in animated. I thought that was very true to him. Then we have leader class Mega Zarek. He's phenomenal. I love how they're actually posing him, and it's nice to see some thought going into the posing, right? Some thought going into the toy photography to really sell his piece. So Mega Zarek, we got any thoughts on Mega Zarek?
Yeah, he's real nice. I like him. He's always worn those colors better than anyone else. Like they're better than the other molds that they've done previously as well. And it's just I like him a lot. He's a must buy for me.
So he's a BotCon repaint of the original Armada Megatron.
Yes, it's very difficult to find.
Oh, if you can even find it, like let alone how much it would go for,
I have seen it.
It is one of the rarest Transformers that exist.
Yeah.
And I've actually got, speaking of, right here I have my mate Armada Galvatron, who this was actually a grail piece of mine that I wanted for years, just a version of Armada Megatron. And this is one of the it's not necessarily a good action figure, but it is one of the greatest toys ever made. Like, it's like a play base. It's got all these gimmicks and stuff and things like that. So this is the mold that color scheme was made for, and that is the most G2 color scheme that has not been involved with G2 that I've ever seen.
I was going to say it's very G2. It makes my eyes hurt, and I love it.
Does anyone know what universe it's meant to be in? I'm aware that it's based on an Armada mold, but is it meant to be in Armada universe, or is it G2, or what is it, like G1 or Mega Zarak?
I believe it is Armada, and it is like Mega Zarak. So I believe it's the Armada version of Mega Zarak. So yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't seen the bio card, but yeah.
Okay, so I wasn't familiar with the original BotCon one. So
I think BotCon tend to stick very G1, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like this is meant to be in your G1 universe, but it's like come from Armada. It's like come from Armada to the G1 universe. Or I don't know. BotCon, as we know, is very weird.
Yeah, it's a bit all over the place.
Yeah,
they do a lot of interesting ones, at least.
Oh, definitely.
Well, the colouring is brilliant, and you're right, Vince. It hurts so good, just like G2. And if you want to check out our G2 episode, that was the last episode we do. Please check it out and check out the shorts. There's some excitement in the chat for Swindle, and Adam agrees that this does feel very G2. And Legacy Armada Megatron was so good. Love the Armada releases. I've got a lot of time for the Armada figures. They are fantastic.
Yeah.
They are really that you keep discovering things in the play pattern, and that's always a good thing, right? That's always a fun thing. Hoping for the whole show cast. Missed out on the Jolt Minicon. When did the Jolt Minicon come out? Does anyone know? Or
Jolt came out with the super, is it called the Superlink or the Energon version of the Armada Hotshot, the red coloration? Power Links, that's the one. That's the one. And that one was a JB Hi-Fi exclusive, I think.
Yeah.
Or it definitely was a JB Hi-Fi. And yeah, I love Armada. I grew up on Armada. More Armada, please. And I know we're getting more Armada soon, so thank you.
Yeah, Jamal.
What do we think of Mega Zarak? Yeah.
Not bad.
Do we still like this tank mode? I love the pincers at the front. That is phenomenal. Every part of this tank looks dangerous.
Like this color scheme shouldn't work, but it just is so cool together. It is just really bizarre and cool in a way that G2 stuff is. So yeah, he's like the ultimate bad guy of G2. Like this guy, even though Megatron was, but Mega Zarak could be worse.
But it's not as good as the original though. It hasn't got the cage on the side, and the missiles, they probably don't even fire on this guy, do they?
No, they don't. And I've got to be honest, I love this toy. I actually did get an upgrade kit for it. So there's an upgrade kit to make it more posable and more interesting. But yeah, so as I said before, this guy is like the ultimate play set because he has all of the flip out gimmicks and cages and all this stuff. Whereas they prioritize these days they prioritize action figure over gimmick. And I don't look, this guy not posable, like hardly posable at all. This guy you can put into any poses. It's just much of a muchness. These guys aren't really hard to track down. But if you're looking for a fun toy, go for the Armada stuff because they prioritize plate features and everything with the minicons. But if you're looking for action poses, get this stuff.
Yeah, that's what the updates are for. And they can't unfortunately work in all the gimmicks and the articulation at the price point they're doing. So yeah, if you want the gimmicks, go for the old ones. If you want the articulation, grab the new ones.
Yeah, and at some point they started prioritizing eyeballs too, which is why they took out the firing mechanisms of the toys.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
We've
I
got
both mine.
Angry.
I was fine.
That's what we got glasses for. We got Fangry, Edmus. This guy to come down the gates. He's got 2 heads though. He's supplied with 2 heads. Looks like 2 wolf heads. And
One's
I've
a
kind of
Mars.
been showing it because the wolf's head, the other wolf's head, just attaches to his back.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
just folds
right.
over in his other mode. Yeah, because I got the original one of this one, so yeah, I don't know if I'll be picking this one up unless they drastically change the colours. But it's a nice figure. It's definitely a nice figure if you want to complete your like your junior headmasters and all of those type of things. But I mean, it's not the best.
yeah, well, he's the only one that they talked about in the stream. Then we have a mini Unicron, a Herald of Unicron. I didn't know he had heralds. Well, besides Scourge and the sweeps, right? But this is a mini Unicron. Sorry, a Herald of Unicron, not Unicron himself. So he's got little around. So that's his bot mode, obviously. And this is his highly safe take mode. with
Yeah.
every horn played on the planet. What do we think of the Herald, gentlemen?
I like it. Yeah, it's very much the Cybertron one.
Yeah, it's 100% an homage to the Cybertron Deluxe tank, but now we've got a guy who's supposed to be a troop builder, but now he's a leader class, so a leader class troop builder. So if you want to, fork out, hundreds of bucks for that, but you go ahead. But it looks great. Like even just getting one and saying, you could even just call it Unicron. It looks like Unicron. Like it's like those drones of Jaxus's that look like Jaxus. They're just his heralds. They're getting Unicron's getting his mates to dress up like him and represent apparently. So no, it's very like it's cool, like it's eye catching.
Yeah, I like it.
What if we got HasLab Unicron and put all these little Herald Unicrons all around him? You might as well. If you got the HasLab, you might as well go all in. Right?
Could you afford any of these after buying a HasLab Unicron? I don't think so.
This is the only figure.
I was looking a bit full anyway.
This is the only figure that would look small against that.
I mean, I actually think it was a misstep calling it a herald instead of just a soldier. Like they would have sold a lot more of them if people thought there was a troop building soldier type of scenario. But a herald, you only really need one herald. You don't need a lot of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I probably, if it was a soldier, honestly, I might have brought a couple. But now that they've given it a herald, I'm just like, nah, I'll just get one then maybe.
Unless you're Galactus, and then you go through heralds like every week, right?
Yeah,
and then you just
I actually agree with Robert. It does look like Gaia Unicron because it reminds me of the remember in Prime you had Unicron was Earth and then there was a bunch of them. So I think that's what they're going for there. This is kind of if like maybe these Unicrons are growing off the metal planet of Unicron and becoming his heralds or something. I don't know. That could be the law.
Adam says it's to homage the comic Cybertron and Prime Unicron.
Yeah, so it's just an amalgamation of primes of Unicrons.
Yeah, they're doing that a bit. Really.
Minicons. You wanted minicons? You are getting minicons. You're getting them. You're getting minicons. I have never seen a figure with this many mini bots partnered with him.
The main purpose of this is to get most of your previous Armada figures that have come out there partners. So you've got Sparkplug for Prime, you've got Leader 1 for Megatron, you've got Wheeljack's one, which came with the Shatterglass one, but now comes with his real one, Swindle for Starscream, and Long Arm for the crane truck for Red Alert. And then you've got the Dark Star Saber because why not?
Hopefully the QC's improved on this one.
That worries me. You've brought up a good point, Michael. The QC on the Nemesis Prime, so the Nemesis Prime Star Saber, the white version, which realistically shouldn't this version come with him because that's the evil team, and then the light one comes.
Yeah, now you mentioned it. They should have swapped them.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, the fact that a lot of people, mine were fine, but I handled them with kid gloves because I heard people were breaking.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that they've learned from that. They've adjusted what they need to on this reissue, and they actually learn from their mistakes, and the other minicons are okay. Because the Jolt and the Whisper was the name of the Shatterglass version of the stealth bomber dude. He's great. They're great little figures, and they don't have any issues. So I'm just praying that we've got good quality figures.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the same as you. My Star Saber hasn't broken, but I've been very careful with it. So, yeah. But hopefully,
I did do the fix. I did do the fix on mine, which does involve, unfortunately, knocking out a pin. But I did the fix, so I can handle that thing. I feel totally comfortable with it now. But I did do it just as a precaution. But yeah,
what pin has to be knocked out? Which one?
You have to. The one who has the piece that breaks, which I think is Jetstorm. You've got to take his arms off at the ball joint. The pin goes straight through from shoulder to shoulder.
Right.
It goes like straight through his body, and the piece that is susceptible to breaking is on the slider joint, on like with that pin going through. Yeah. So just take the arms off, knock the pin out with whatever you use to knock pins out, and just sand that piece down just slightly. You've also got to take a little bit off. I think the horns on his head are catching on the piece, and that's also there's multiple factors that are contributing to it breaking. So okay.
Okay.
You'll have to.
So hopefully they've learned from their mistakes.
In the community, put that fix in the community somewhere, and to help people out if they've got that figure.
It worries me that we've got this pack here of minicons, yet there's sort of none for the ones that they're releasing. Like there's no Mega Zarek minicon. There's none for the figure that they've got in this box, because the other one's supposed to be for the Red Alert, the old Red Alert, I believe.
Yeah.
And it seems to me like, I would love to get some of these minicons, but I don't want half of them, and I don't want the main figure. It's like... and it worries me that we haven't got the new figures coming out with them.
Yeah, again, it sort of goes back to budget, unfortunately. Like, I probably sound like a Hasbro apologist, but in all honesty, like, these things do add to the parts count and the price. So doing these multi-packs is probably the best way to get them. And they'll probably do more multi-packs too to address the other ones.
I hope they do, because, like, I mean, as we've seen already, the Star Saber crew has already been repainted. And Whisper has been repainted into his Autobot version. I don't see why they couldn't repaint, Leader 1 and Sparkplug and all of these guys. Like, they want to get the most out of their molds, as we know Hasbro likes to do, get the most out of a mold. I see they could possibly do, who else gets a Power Links version in that scene? Starscream does, but I mean he has a Japanese release, but maybe they could do him as well. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to see more minicons.
Yeah.
Thrust. Oh, I'd love a Thrust. How good would a Thrust be?
That would be fantastic. I mean, I'd like to see them release some minicons as 3-packs, like the Requiem Blaster and the Shield.
Yeah.
Things
that's
like
that.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think that's what we'd like to see as well. Like, all fans would love that, but we've sort of got to piecemeal together what we're going to get.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen the Micro Masters released in their full patrols. When they re-released the Micro Masters, they're only in packs of 2. Yeah, which is a shame. But I think I'll get this guy because it gives me 8 fidget toys and pocket bots straight off the bat. So,
plus, I mean, Red Alert looks great.
Yeah, he does.
Red Alert looks really good. That color scheme, he looks really decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like him. Red Alert, but Yeah, I'm going for the pocket bites. Joyride, the guy who doesn't need to sit when he's driving because he can't.
I was really looking forward to this one. I had it as a kid, and I'm not impressed at all. I remember it being brown and orange rather than blue and red. That just doesn't make any sense.
I put him in here to put a smile on your faces. He's a poor bloke. He's stopping a bit of it. Our masters never were, they didn't quite catch on as much as the headmasters did, but it's a bit of fun. It's a bit of fun, and that's what we're here for. We're going to move on because we were talking crossovers earlier, and here is the Gem crossover, Gem and the Holograms with Autobot Blaster. And
wow.
I don't know anything about Gem and the Holograms. I know there's some stuff about KISS players from previous releases, and I don't know why, but I love this game. It's
it looks so good.
G2 thing.
It is also extremely
G2. It is very G2.
I think I could be
guitar in the back, little microphone.
I could be wrong, but I think his like electric guitar transforms into a keytar.
Yeah, it kind of switches.
It did.
Yeah.
I watched the live stream. It does. Yeah.
Yeah, that is sick.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. 100%. One day I actually want to do a display with like the Knights of Unicron, maybe this guy, a few of the other musical ones, and just put them around a speaker set and just have them rock out. Right?
That'd be sick.
I just love that display.
I love one day. I'm also a fan of bringing KISS players figures back, which is pretty cool.
Oh God.
The three cassettes are actually KISS players original characters. So nice. we've got modern the safe KISS players, the nice KISS players, not the not nice ones.
Yeah.
I've got the blaster.
Now here's the San Diego. You've got what? Sorry.
I've got it's sort of like the soft version of KISS players. The little female character that came with Blaster. He was a silver BB Toyota Scion, not Scion. They get called a Ruckus in Australia, but for years that was one of my favorite cars. I just love the boxy shape of it. And when I found Blaster in Transformers form with the little girl with a video camera, I was like, no, I'm sold. This is a gorgeous figure. It's a bit unstable on the shelf, but once I gave him an oversized Barrett sniper rifle from an Evangelion set, and he just looks badass. And when you pick it up, you can feel the die cast rather than the alternators that were just plastic.
The cars were awesome in that previous iteration. So that's Blaster. It is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, so it will be a bit harder to get out here. I'm sure it will come up in some way, shape, or form. Chris' wife wants it. We will see what we can do. And then this. Now, this is not the current figure. This is the original cereal box from Ralston. Or actually, hang on, no. This is the original cereal box from Ralston. Sorry, I got my slides mixed up. That is the original cereal box from Ralston, and I ruined the whole thing. But that's you used to have to mail away to get Jazz. And the cardboard box, if you're wondering about the cutouts, the cardboard box forms a robot. So you can do a robot by cutting it out and assembling the model kit. And the robot looks like he has a hand for one side and a spoon to eat your cereal with the other. So the packaging, right? The packaging, now this is the modern one, right? Which is the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. So they're releasing a cereal box. So if you look at pictures online, I got these pictures from Transformers.com. You look at the pictures online, it actually looks like they come in like a cereal bag. And it's phenomenal. So, again, not exactly the most robots in disguise trailer here, but I kind of dig it. Right?
It's very G2.
So you get it's very G2, and you get Optimus, and I think this is a pretty decent mold of Optimus, and a repaint of Corcus.
It's a new mold.
I thought the Jazz is new.
Yeah. He's been squashed down a little bit in his robot mode, but mode looked all right to me. So that's a serial box set from San Diego Comic-Con. Thoughts on it?
I am definitely getting that, Jazz. I will do whatever I have to get that, Jazz. It's it looks like a core class or an abandoned core class figure.
It looks like they've got like it's like an 80s, you know, cereal box toy that you get, like just a really simplified version of the Jazz. And he just looks so cute. He's very cool. And it's the, what do you call it? It's the cheap version of the Missing Link Optimus. So like not the Missing Link Optimus, but the G1 Universe Deluxe Optimus that we got, but repainted. Yeah, and the trailer is actually new, which is weird because I know this because Roller actually has an ejecting button that pushes Roller out like the original.
Sweet.
Which is really cool.
It's actually the original trailer. I think it's from the reissue.
Oh, there you go. Maybe it's it. There you go.
I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure it is just the reissue trailer in black.
So it's just the
trailer.
Does Jazz in the trailer? I'm going to guess so. I'm going to guess so.
Yes, he does. He does. I don't have a picture of him, but he does actually fit in the trailer. He does.
That's pretty cool.
So that's a really good thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's really, really cool. And I do miss the core class figures. Again, they're just handy little bots to have around. So that was the news, gents. We spent a bit of time on it, but there was a lot to cover. There's a lot of interesting releases coming out. Would love to see be able to get some of these San Diego Comic-Con ones in particular, but thank you for your thoughts on it. Let's go to our main topic for tonight. So our main is this: when fandom stops being fun. So, you know, and you'll get this, and this is like, yes, we're on a Transformers kind of related podcast, but this is not exclusive to Transformers community. We've all been through those situations where either in our own solo collecting, our own fandom, some of the fun comes off it. And unfortunately, when you get a group of people together and you get different opinions and different values and different, you know, experiences, you can also, communities can get a bit toxic and a little bit less fun, right? And at the end of the day, we do this hobby as for our mental health, our emotional health, our fun, our sense of nostalgia. And it sucks when it stops being fun, right? And that was part of the premise again of this podcast, was to group of place together and build the community and really bring those ties together. So I want to talk about, a few things here. You know, some toxic traits that may happen is in communities is gatekeeping. When you start collecting and you start neglecting other areas of your life that are otherwise important, you start hiding in your hobby. Burnout, collector burnout is a real thing, you know, and people just can't face their collection anymore, or they fend up and then they get out of it and then they kind of miss it, and that's sad as well. You know, generally share things in the various community groups with joy, and then someone kind of hijacks their thread and turns it against them, and just general judgment, abuse, and bad manners, right? So these are the things that I kind of wanted to talk about with you gentlemen tonight. And so I kind of want to do a couple of round robins and, you know, just get some quick answers from you guys. In terms of a fandom, not specifically for Transformers, just in terms of fandom, what are the things that keep you going? If you could name 3 things in like 1 or 2 words, what would they be? John, at the top of my screen, so I'll start with you and I'll name you guys as we go through. What are the top 3 things that keep you in the fandom, mate?
What are the top 3? I'd say my inner child and just a sense of belonging to a community of fans really helps as well. Because without this sort of forum, none of my friends really share the passion, but some of my friends' kids like Transformers, but I'm the only one that I know in my local area that likes Transformers. So yeah, inner child and sharing with like-minded people like yourselves.
Thanks, man. Mikey?
Yeah, I think the main thing for me is community. Very similar. Basically, when I was younger, I knew a lot of kids my age who got out of toys and stuff like that because they didn't really have anyone to talk about it with or anything. And when I was growing up, Facebook was kind of at its advent, and like it was fairly new and everything like that. And I was thinking very strongly about like giving it up and just moving on. But then I became part of Facebook groups, and before even TCCA or any Australia TFDU or anything like that existed, there was the American groups, and I became a lot of friends with a lot of American people. So basically, without community, like I don't think I'd still be doing this, and without doing things like this podcast and interacting with you guys. So I think community and interacting with like-minded people that share your hobby. Without that, like I wouldn't be in this anymore. So community for me.
Yeah. Stell?
Pretty much the same for me as well. Yeah, a community, a place to share your thoughts on various aspects of the franchise. I mean, one of my favorite things to do is if I get a new toy, I have a group of people that I can share it with, and see, what do we think about this toy? Do you own it? Are you going to get it? Are there things maybe you don't like about it? Just, I like to have sort of a sounding board, I think, is that the correct term, for this thing that I have in my life. I like to have people to talk to about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Real nice. Michael?
Yeah, a bit similar to Stell, actually, the sounding board aspect. I was going to bring up discovery. So I like, there's all the things in the foreground of what we like, our main characters and figures and whatnot, but I also like learning the behind the scenes as well, and, little bits of history or variants or things like that, and then sharing it with other fans or learning it from other fans and discussing it. And but yeah, as has been said as well, obviously the camaraderie, like talking to people, like I've got probably 20 or so different people in the community that I talk with daily, and we connect with things outside of Transformers as well. Like we have other common interests. So it's just been a fantastic way to build friends within Transformers, but also just talk about life and things like that outside of it as well, outside of the fandoms. So yeah, it's been great for me since joining the online fandom in about 2016. Yeah.
Real nice. And then the great point about outside of the fandom as well, and relationships outside of it. Bob?
Yeah, I mean, I feel I'm the same as a lot of the boys here. Like the community is what sort of drew me in. I'm new to this sort of being in the community. I've sort of collected quietly by myself over the past sort of 25, 30 years. And I've never really sort of let anyone in to see my collection. I mean, partially because, a lot of people didn't understand when I first started collecting. It was, we're grown men that are collecting toys essentially. And a lot of people didn't initially understand that. I feel nowadays people are a lot more open and willing about it. Yeah, everyone's a collector of something nowadays. And so now, I feel more comfortable coming out and saying, hey, this is my collection. This is how I spend my time. And that thrill of showing other people what I've managed to amass, and the joy of learning about them all as I'm doing it. Like if I see a figure and I don't know the history, I'll whip up on Wikipedia and look it up and see what the history is. And then, I'll end up sitting on there for an hour or so just reading about other things that are related to it. So, and then being able to share that knowledge with the community is, what I enjoy as well. So yeah, it's sort of multifaceted for me.
Yeah, really, really nice. And you have been sharing some beautiful. You've got a wonderful display, and it's been great to see you sharing more of that as well. That's been phenomenal. For me, the hobby itself is quite therapeutic. Like collecting the figures, sourcing the figures, the ones with a great play pattern that you can kind of lose yourself in while you're kind of mucking around with them. It's very cathartic, right? And you get a real impact out of that. And then before I actually put the call out, just to start bringing this whole project together, I was looking at ways to kind of add longevity or more layers to this kind of hobby. And I looked at a little bit of toy photography, and I'm like, I haven't got the patience for that. I just don't. Right? I'll take a snap and I'll be like, yeah, that's good enough, right? I haven't got the patience for that. I looked at a few different things. I've enjoyed starting to tweak my display and kind of play around with it and getting to posing. But all of that stuff, I could very easily shift focus, right? ADHD, hyperfocus, then forget about it. So I'm also of an age where I wanted to be able to engage in conversation and make friends with new people, right? Meet new people and engage it. But I really don't have a lot of time to get out and about, right? Running a business, 3 young kids, neurodiversity in our family. And the other thing is that I really need a structure to engage in conversation. Sometimes in a busy social situation, I can get a bit lost and a bit anxious about it. But you give me a structure, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm not too bad. At least I don't think I'm too bad, right? And so when I put the call out and I started looking into this, I started looking at other podcasts, at that social vibe, over another guy, toy photographers, they're experienced, they're about our age, they have great banter, bot versus con, another little, a great podcast with 2 people, banter, they really dive into the news. And I was like, what do I really want out of this? And how do I want to kind of bring this extra layer to it? And I was already a member of all the groups, and I've only been collecting again in the last few years, really. And it was therapy to start with, as we talk about mental health. But I wanted that next level. I wanted to be able to sit down, catch up with a good bunch of people, meet new people, reach out to other communities, tie them all together. And that gives me that structure, because it gives me like purposeful conversations, but it also gives me a chance to meet other people that are, different interests in Transformers, different generations in Transformers, different viewpoints on collecting and all that sort of stuff, and actually have some engaging conversations and not have people just agree with me or just, be interested in the same things that I am. So I get what you guys are all putting down. And if you've got some thoughts on that in the comments, please let us know. So let's talk about in the community. Like we've all mentioned community. And before we get into that, Spartan's got a great question. Would you consider the Transformers community to be toxic in general? People are overall nice. So without explaining it further, we're just going to go toxic or nice, right, to answer your question. I'm going to say nice. Jen?
Nice.
No right or wrong here. Nice.
Nice.
Nice. Del? Yep.
Yeah.
Michael?
Nice. I'm going to be a bit controversial here. Nice to each other, but toxic probably towards the brand. But nice to each other.
Oh, yeah, very nice. Yeah. And Fock?
No, I'd agree with what he just said. Yeah, nice to each other, but you do get a bit toxic to Hasbro.
Yeah, that can poison it as well. So I think the community is over nice, but it doesn't mean that there's not toxic elements in it. So some of the ways that it can get toxic is toxic to outside fans, right? Toxic to people that are fans of different iterations of a 40-year franchise, right? Toxic to different companies in different ways, right? The whole like, I don't like that, I don't like that. If you like that, you're an idiot thing. What else? Like we've all mentioned community, and we've all done kind of get it over. What are some of the things that you kind of experience or witness in your collecting have contributed to the toxicity of any fan-based community, right? not even just Transformers. Like, you know, that's really a shine of a community that you really wanted to be a part of.
I think price-wise, it's really prohibitive for parents to facilitate their kids getting enough characters to get a good playscape going on. So I think disposable income's a real big issue for younger fans to get into the hobby. That's pretty shit. But on a positive side, I really think they're great puzzles for neuroplasticity. Keep the brain healthy. Puzzles. And also, I have a thing where I try and transform my new Transformers without reading the instructions to see if I can just understand it from
that's cool.
Just instinct. And that
I'm just scared of breaking them.
Yeah. I sent my wife on a mission on Monday to find Mixmaster, the final part of Devastator, and she found him at an EB. So I'm super stoked. I haven't mustered up the courage to read the instructions to combine them yet, but sort of saving it for a rainy day and have a go putting them all together.
Great toy, by the way. Great set.
Yeah.
So
You bring up an interesting thing. You bring an interesting thing about price, and the point is, it doesn't matter what level you're coming at, how many figures, whether they're like premium quality masterpiece level or like they're little bot shots. You know, I don't mind if you're enjoying it and there's something that you want to enjoy. No one has the right to go, oh well, that kind of sucks, right? Like that's they're not collecting for you; they're collecting for themselves. And whatever that collection is or that display is, if that person wants to engage about it and be proud of it, I think that's phenomenal. And for anyone to kind of jump in and go, oh, just hold your tongue. If you don't have anything nice to say about it, just hold your tongue. Like you're wrecking someone else's enjoyment of and contribution to the community. That's my personal viewpoint. Any other thoughts on this kind of on elements that you've seen really bring down a community in terms of toxicity or toxitron?
Toxicity. Yeah, look, it's. I think when it comes to, Transformers, I think there's like a level of toxicity that you have in fan bases, and Transformers doesn't fall that high. I don't think it's one of the most toxic. I think most people can agree that Star Wars is at the top. Or anything else further than that, or just is that the top? That's like the peak.
I think it's
toxic.
The standard, not the standard, but yeah, that's the worst one. Yeah.
Star Wars is just generally, unfortunately.
Why is it the worst one though? What do we think? Like it's another franchise with decades and decades of history behind it. But why do we think that it's become so toxic?
Can I step in?
Yeah, go ahead.
I am a fan of Star Wars, but I'm not immersed in the Star Wars fandom. But from what I've seen, it's like anything that comes out, any movie, any show, whatever it is, people are just never satisfied. And they'll always harken back to the gold standard of the original trilogy, and they can't get past that. A little bit like Transformers G1, although Transformers has moved past G1 and people can appreciate new series and that now. But with Star Wars, it feels like they're very locked into that OT, and everything else is just rubbish. Like, that's how I perceive the fandom anyway.
Yeah.
I agree with you somewhat that I think there is sort of this disconnect sometimes between G1 and Bayverse people. Like they don't like each other's movies and that. And like I love them all. I like G1 and Bayverse. So I'm not probably the best person to talk to about toxicity, but I find it quite often that the G1ers will hate on the Bayverse because Michael Bay's ruined their Transformers, and that then the Bayverse people who don't watch a lot of G1 don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to them, and it doesn't when you go back. Like, we were children back then. Of course, it was awesome, but you go back and watch some of them nowadays, and it isn't quite as rosy as I remember. But that they sort of get into these meaningless fights about it. Like, oh, you know, Michael Bay's ruined Optimus Prime because of this. It's no, he's just presenting him a different way. Like he's just showing a different version of Optimus Prime. It may not be your version, but you know, I love the Bayverse movies purely because they introduced a whole new generation of Transformers.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit,
Like, you know, we've got more fans because of them.
I think
Exactly.
too, though, with the Bayverse, like there are criticisms where people have, not necessarily because it's not G1, but because the storytelling or whatnot is at times not the best. So that's a different type of critique to, oh, he doesn't look like a flat-nosed semi-truck. Like it's more like, oh, this story wasn't told in a particularly coherent way. With certain
Oh no,
films,
the
like,
stories aren't great. No,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'll never say that they're the best ever.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, that's why the fans, a lot of the G1 fans, love Bumblebee so much because it was a snub nose. You know, it was Optimus as they thought he should be.
Yeah.
It's not a, you know, like a long nosed truck. But I think he looks great in all of the ones he wears. To be honest.
But to your point, I actually do remember, and this is sad to bring up, but I do remember back in the 2006, 2007 era when the first shots or images of Optimus Prime came out for the 2007 film. I heard that Michael Bay actually got death threats over that, which is pretty rotten.
Yes, he did.
Like, guys, don't do that.
No.
Oh, it's ludicrous.
Yeah, ridiculous. Like at the end of the day, this is a kids franchise, and we're adults and enjoying it. But it's not. It's not serious that you send someone death threats over. Like,
No.
Well,
ridiculous.
this reminds me. So you've got the G1 thing and the Bayverse thing that can be toxic over. I remember when Animated came out, a lot of people before, like when Animated came out and the concept art or even just the art for Animated come out, the art style of Animated, people hated that.
Yeah.
And I used to have this American friend, which we weren't friends for long, let me tell you. But every time I mentioned Animated or whatever, he'd be like, "Oh no, it's shit!" Blah. He'd say, "It's shit! It's bullshit! It's crap! Blah 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 blah." And would just go off at it, and like he would like angry the or he'd just like be so angry towards it, and just like hate it without even seeing an episode of it. And like being toxic towards a series. I remember this another American who, again, I'm not friends with anymore because it's so toxic. But he only saw the episode of Animated that had Professor Princess in it. So that's the one where, what else happens in that episode? Basically, so in Animated you had human villains of the day basically, and Professor Princess was the villain of that. I think it might have even been one of the better episodes that had Soundwave in it. I can't remember. Anyway, he got up to the point where Professor Princess was the main bad guy in this show, and he just turned it off, and he never watched another episode of it again. He based the entire series, and this was when the entire series was out, by the way, and all the we know how good it is, and people have told him multiple times how good it is, and just give it a go. But he watches the one episode, I don't know if it was intentional or not, with Professor Princess in it, and he just said, "Nah, not doing that." And every time he would talk about Animated, he'd say, "It's shit, it's the worst thing ever, blah 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 blah." And so yeah, you can be toxic towards shows as well. And if you have the love for something, you post an image of something you love from the show, people can come up and say, "No, this is not good," or whatever. And like you have this happen in TFT, you have it happen in TCCA, where you post like your favorite character or your favorite figure, and like 99% of the time it'll be positive, right? But then you'll have some like idiot, and you'll have some idiot say, "No, this is shit. This is the wrong figure. Why'd you get this figure? Why'd you buy it?" And like it might be even rarer than like that 1% of the time, or whatever it is. But you still run the risk of it happening in any fan base. But yeah, I remember like Animated being one that had a huge backlash from its inception.
But I think, Mikey, too, like I don't disagree with you. I remember there was that initial backlash, but Animated's had quite a cult following. Not cult following.
Oh yeah, now it has
quite a popularity since then. So I think once people gave it a go, they sort of saw, oh, okay, it's
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not saying that like everyone had this. they saw one episode and said no. Like this was just like these are the two.
That one.
Yeah. So I said I saw the one person that just saw the designs just like nah, screw this, and then the one person that saw the one episode with the person said no.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on something, and this kind of goes back to some of the points that you gentlemen have raised. So we have community groups that are big open forum, right? Like it's the entire world. Like whatever generation you're in, whatever you're interested in, it's kind of open slather. And a lot of those groups are very well modded, and they're like, whatever generation you're interested, whatever you're interested in the community, you're welcome. And then we have the special interest communities that are G1 only, animated only, all that sort of stuff. And I think those can be quite positive, right? You're kind of really trying to find people that are like-minded. They may, they don't necessarily exclude everything else, but that's their particular passion. And like Fox said, they may have grown up at a time where the 2007 movie was their G1. They might have grown up at a time when animated was their G1 in terms of their time in life. And that allows new generations to come in. But where I think siloing the community can fall down is that sometimes people misconstrue why it's siloed. It doesn't mean that every other aspect of the franchise is bad or horrible. It just means that your interest lies more with that particular aspect of it. And so you get these people that are in the siloed communities, and as soon as someone asks a question about another aspect of the fandom, or they go into a general access group, they kind of feel it's their responsibility to carry the torch for a siloed community. So they go into a general discussion. They're like, no, it's G1 or nothing. Right? I come from a G1 group. That's the real fandom. And I think that's part of what's happened with Star Wars, right? And they just had more time, and the reintroduction of the series from when they continue the second new trilogy and the third new trilogy. That's what's happened. You've got people that have gone, no, you can't take away from my childhood, and that kind of brings me to another.
Wait, I think that's not just neuroplasticity, but it happens with music too, where someone becomes genre locked or time locked, and then they don't listen to anything that's new because it doesn't fit in with their tastes. So I think keeping an open mind, always being ready for the next thing, and being an appreciator rather than a detractor from other people's pleasure and joy in whatever they find that in. Like I got friends who are right into knives, and like I've bought a few knives, but I'm not obsessed and have hundreds of knives hanging around. And torches is another hobby of mine, and I've seen some people fall down the rabbit hole and they've got huge collections, and it's like that's a little bit silly, not diversifying and having different hobbies. So I think Transformers in particular can be a bit toxic if someone's genre locked and only fixates on one particular era. Yeah.
This brings me to my next question. All right. Let's play devil's advocate. Let's say if the person who is shouting down someone else is not an idiot per se, but their idiotic behavior is stemming from something, right? Where, like, in what do we think is contributing to that? Is it a threat to their childhood, right? Like, because it's something a lot of us get into this for nostalgia, especially our generation, right? And it's our childhood and we want to protect it. Like, what brings people to kind of, do you think, an otherwise rational, supportive, positive person, and get them in this, and someone disagrees with them, and then they take that behavior? They're not necessarily an idiot, but they're doing idiotic behavior. And then the second part of that question is, how do we deal with it? Like, how do we deal with it individually? And how does a community deal with it? Thoughts?
Being open-mindedness is important with all internet groups. I don't agree with the whole thread jacking concept, because I think diversifying a comment thread is really important, because it might lead to a throwback, where the conversation can go off on a tangent, and come back to support the main post, because that's just the way humans talk in a natural, comfortable setting, is that people will tangentialize, and there should be no problem with that, rather than sticking to the subject matter. And I've always been a fan of cross-pollination. Like, I think having battle beasts as a kid with the transformer bases and different models, there was a lot of crossover for me in my imagination, and that was healthy for me. But other people would see that as a distraction and being a bit messy. But yeah, it all comes together in the end until all are one.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head back there before, Gary, when you're talking about the silos, is people just live in the echo chambers, so it repeats what they want to hear. And the moment anyone has some information that's not what they've been hearing constantly, they panic and they don't know how to take it on, and they get angry at you because they feel it's a personal attack when you're just sort of trying to say, hey, look, this is just a different way of thinking. Like, I don't expect you to adopt my way of thinking either, but why can't I have an idea?
Yeah, and it's the lack of discussion. I think where other groups, where groups can get toxic is when you no longer having a discussion, it becomes a personal attack, and then it just becomes these 2 or 3 word responses that come out. Right, and I'll bring this up because we don't get any money from this. Like, we are far from it, even making ends meet with this podcast. We're brand new. And so we use AI to help us with our promo images and so on and so forth, right? And at the same time, we want to encourage artists and get contributions from artists. Townie contributed our theme song. We have our fan art section. We're going to have photography sections. Like, we acknowledge the skills, technique, and proficiency of artists, and we want to embrace that bit. However, we're also doing this project off our own backs, and using the tool of AI can be valuable for us. And since we've started kind of posting things like the promo image for the show, before even with this topic, before even looking at the topic and the points of discussion, for sure, I would have gotten so many comments with the very thoughtful rhetoric of AI slop. And that's it. Not anything constructive, no discussion, no a good topic, but don't like the AI, anything like that. I had one comment like that in TFDU, which was brilliant, and then I treated it accordingly because it was a discussion point and I welcomed it. But for everyone else, they kind of just went, "I love you." Well, that's meeting that. We wanted to meet that in a way that didn't continue to rile people up. Not that we're conforming to them, but a way to disarm the situation and kind of the lunacy of it. So our graphic that we used for the fan art section, Bob, you came up with because someone said, "Oh my God, you should use real fan art." So we came up with some real art. I posted that in response to someone who was getting aggressive at this image that we've got on screen, and it immediately disarmed him, and he came back and said, "That's better." And so it's a really interesting thing that I think we have to be careful how we respond to people throwing out these comments, because if we get our back up, right, it's okay to be offended and it's okay to disagree with the person, but if we get our back up, for some people it just continues to ramp up the intensity, right? It doesn't, if they can't start the discussion, it's up to the others who want to be part of the discussion to contribute, if that makes sense, right? Any thoughts on that, gentlemen? All right. And if you say AI slop, I'm kicking you off the stream, right? And then I'll tell you I love you.
I think the main thing is that we're not trying to sell it. We're not trying to, make money from this AI image. It's just we've all got jobs. I mean, I know I'm at work most of the week, and we're just trying to make a podcast for people to listen to and enjoy. And we use a little bit of that art there just to promote the videos, nothing else. Like, I don't see a major issue with it.
Yeah. So with the fan segments, we're actually going to do, and this will be sure to get some controversy when I put it out there, but I'm going to do a segment that is basically people's wildest ideas. Now, these may be people that don't have the ability to draw, they don't have the ability to Photoshop, they don't have, but they've got some really cool ideas. And I think one of the things that you can do, and people who don't have the skills to do, if they can build out the prompt or the seed of the thought, it can really start some like interesting discussions on a concept of a figure or a concept of a line or a concept of whatever, right? That person's not claiming to do it. They're not trying to make themselves out to be like artists generally. They're just like, hey, I had this crazy idea. I can either like write a ridiculously long text message. I can draw a stick figure of it, which everyone will laugh at, or I can come up with something that kind of looks like what I want. And for people to just shout it down, I think is it makes it hard. It makes it hard, right? Because we want to be encouraging everyone. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts on this particular aspect of the discussion, gents?
I think when dealing with people that are being semi-trolls, like to another person, it's important to engage them on the subject matter that they're presenting, to listen to them, but also to be staunch and oppose that position. And I think I dealt with Jamie quite well of having a discussion with him, and he did inform me that a lot of the data centers are causing electricity problems around the world, and that's pretty tragic. And I think the government's making good steps to make data centers actually have their own energy production rather than just setting up and competing with everyday Australians for power, let alone it being a worldwide problem and these massive data centers. And I thought they were closed loop water cooled, but Jamie swore by the idea that they're actually evaporating water and letting it escape. So they're been competing for fresh water as well, which is not a good thing long term. If the data's more important,
and that discussion is very, very welcome. And it's a multi-layered topic. We're not here to like dive into the whole depth of AI, because that is a whole podcast. That is this whole series of podcasts. The discussion keeps things good. So let's shift focus for a little bit, gents. Let's talk about the solo part of it. Let's talk about when your collection gets out of control. Collection obsession, FOMO, right? Getting figures in with a constant stream of packages that, you kind of sneaking in the door, or you're kind of wondering how you're going to pay for them. And, small things like mortgages, rent, food, and, other aspects. I want to talk about collection obsession. Have any of you gents put your hands up if you've, at some point, you've gotten a little carried away with the hobby and you haven't realized how many packages you kind of got going in, right? It's a pretty common thing. I'll start, right? Because I actually got back into this hobby because I was grieving for my mum, right? We've gone through COVID. We've been through a lot of challenges with businesses. I was supporting a lot of businesses, everything. We're going through a lot of discovery in terms of my kids and neurodiversity. Like I was being pummeled from all different directions. But and sometimes people don't get this, but these little plastic figures, they hold core memories for me, and I'm attached to them. And growing up, Mum, we had no money. We were living below the poverty line, and this was pre-internet days. And Mum actually got me my first figures because she saw how much, in a difficult childhood, she saw how much comfort I got out of these robots on screen. And so she got me this. She got me Motu, Masters of the Universe. And so when she passed in a very difficult way, I went into grieving mode, and I kind of rediscovered my passion for these and the comfort that they brought me. But then I got a little too carried away, right? And it became, and I had to pull myself up because it became less of a comfort thing and more I was just falling into this kind of downward spiral, and it was no longer supporting me, it was dragging me down. So I really had to put a stop to it and look at why I was starting to acquire more figures, how I was starting to acquire more figures, and what I actually wanted out of this hobby, right? Because I wanted to keep it integrated into my adult life, but I didn't want it to be an anchor around me. And so that's when I realized I had to like be a bit more discerning about it. I'd love to hear some other experiences of how you kind of found yourself in the spiral of collecting, losing that joy out of it, and then what were the signs that you were kind of getting too far into it, and then the reasons for it, if you're happy to share, and then how you kind of pulled yourself out of it while still staying in the hobby. Who would like to go first?
Okay. For me, it's all about shelf space. I live in a pretty well-sized house for two people, but we've got a lot of bookshelves, and I've hit limits sometimes when my wife has said, no, I don't want you to display them in front of the books, and that went out the window when too many of them arrived, and I picked them up. And so now they're sort of, wherever there's free space, I put Transformers, but I am running low on space. So after Devastator, unless something's really good, I'm not going to be able to buy it. I'm not buying new figures. So yeah, I've kind of hit my limit, and that's space. Like I do have some Beast Wars and Bayverse stuff, and that's all in storage because it was competing for shelf space and looked out of place in the collection. So I've only just started to get a few Beast Wars figures out, have a muck around with them again. I think it was Ramulus that got me back into the hobby. He's an awesome figure, like a mountain goat. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And that was all spent on with Kelvin Chan's post about Chinese astrology. And I was like, well, what have we got for normal Western astrology? I've only got the Ram, which I think is Capricorn. That has a fishtail. And Onyx Prime, which is like Sagittarius with a bow. It can be a centaur. So that's big on my thing. Is like if I could get other astrologically aligned stuff, I'd pick it up. I've got a Leo Prime somewhere in the collection, which is pretty cool. That fits onto Energon. What was it? Yeah, Energon Prime as a fist. See you, Spartan. But yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Spartan, we'll see you again. I want to add some clarity to this just before we talk on, is that I don't think it's necessarily the size of the collection that can be unhealthy, right? You have people who have massive collections, and just because your collection is massive doesn't necessarily mean it's unhealthy. I think when it starts to negatively impact other areas of your life, then it can start to become unhealthy, whether it's 10 figures, 1,000 figures, 10,000 figures, right? Yeah. So I just want to clarify, if you've got a massive collection, in Australia, we've got Trev Hopkins, he's got a whole shed in his farm, and he looks happy as Larry, and he shares it with his son, and it looks very positive. So it's not necessarily those. Yeah, it's not necessarily people with massive collections. Who's next? Mikey, are you going next?
Yep. Yeah, well, actually, funny we're talking about this. Just the other day, just yesterday, actually, I had a look at my collection. I'm just like, look, I like the way I had it planned out originally, but like my original focus for my collection was like Masterpiece and then some G1 and then some other things. But now I've kind of grown out of Masterpiece, and like, I don't know if it's just me or you guys, but like, if you have this whole collection of items and you're just like, I don't really need them anymore. Maybe they'll be like, I have definitely had collections of things which I've sold and definitely regretted and wish I could have kept, but it was also just a space thing. But the Masterpiece, I'm kind of just over it. But what I did was I have a massive shelf that has, it's like 5 by 5, which cubes, and which I display my stuff in. And then I have 2 columns of 1 by 4, and which I just had some, like, only a couple of figures, like very spare, like 1 or 2 figures in each thing. So what I've done recently is just yesterday, taking all my masterpieces and shove them all into those 2 columns and just be like, I'm still going to keep them. And like, I couldn't be asked selling them. It'd be just such a hassle to sell. Like sometimes you just look at stuff and you're just like, it's too much of a hassle. And I've basically relegated all my masterpieces over there. And the issue was I didn't have enough space, and now I've got so much space, which is awesome. Probably too much space. Now it looks very sad. My collection. But I'm going to do some rearranging and stuff like that. So yeah, it can be a thing of burnout and space and all that type of thing. Sometimes all you really need is to, like, again, like what Josh did was, putting some stuff in storage and not getting rid of, which I kind of wish I did, but also didn't have the space for storage, so I couldn't have done it anyway. But sometimes you can just look at your collection and go, look, I'm not feeling this today. I'm not feeling this anymore. Kind of jam it into a section, instead of like having a nice display where you've got like one per shelf type thing. I kind of jammed. It still looks good. Like I think I did a good job. But now I've got so much space to really highlight the things that I'm interested in now, the main line and the primes and all that type of stuff. So yeah, sometimes you just got to have a real think about what you need, what brings you joy at the time, and what you really think also looks good, really. I mean, if you think it looks good, then like if you can think like by downscaling or moving to a thing can look good, do that. But like don't set up your collection one way and then just leave it like that and just think, oh, that's the only way that this can be done. Play around with it. The whole hobby is centers around change. So like changing your collection up and changing your space for a bit, why not? It's part of what we do.
It's ever evolving, isn't it?
It is ever evolving. It's more than some say it's more than meets the eye, but I don't know that as a fact though.
Well, Spartan, before he took off, he found this interesting about Transformers being puzzle, and I think and we've started to put ours in the comments, but I think you raise an interesting point, is that part of the brain work in this is if you're like at your display and you're being thoughtful and interacting with it, part of it is like configuring it and working out work for you at that time, right? And engaging with your collection in that way. I think it's very easy to forget what you have if you grab it and then just put it away and never look at it again, right? And it's nothing against in the box collectors, but I think that's the way it can get out of control. We're just accumulating and interacting with it from what you actually got. But yeah, it is a puzzle, and I fully appreciate your dad joke as well at more than meets the eye. So if you're in the audience, we'd love to hear some of your answers. When did this hobby stop being fun for you? Have you felt burnt out, or where's the line that you may have crossed or you never want to cross, or when you do cross it, that's kind of it for you, or you have to drastically change direction? I want to touch on this as well, and I touched on it before with mental health, is that this is not a male-only hobby, right? But there's definitely a strong male component for it, and there's definitely some wonderful. We want more female collectors in there. We want that diversity in the collecting community. And then there is quite a lot of guys that get involved in this kind of hobby for their own mental health and emotional support. And as we talked about it previously, it is a way to or communicate other like-minded people and talk about more than just these awesome plastic boxes that transform. I think that's part of the danger of toxicity as well, because sometimes this seemingly flippant hobby can actually be the lifeline to keep people going, right? And it can be what's keeping them afloat. And so the danger of toxic community is especially you don't know what that person's going through, and how much this may be the thing that's keeping them, from making rash decisions for a decline in mental health. And I think being Men's Mental Health Month in Australia, not just because it is, but I think it's an important part of the discussion that when you have toxicity in a fandom, you're playing with people's, in some ways, mental health. And there needs to be consideration of just humanity in there, right? Mind your words. If you can disagree with people, you can have a discussion with them, but don't turn it into a personal attack. Don't turn it into something that actually brings that person down, right? Because at the end of the day, these fandoms are meant to be fun. Any additions to that kind of point of view?
One thing I wanted to say earlier about where I think a lot of this toxicity stems from is an unwillingness to accept that for a franchise to survive and thrive, it has to evolve. I was talking about this with some of you guys before we went live, that I'm a Doctor Who fan, and we've had some news in the Doctor Who fandom just earlier this week that the show is currently going on hiatus. It went on hiatus back in the 1980s, and the original series got cancelled, and it came back in 2005, which is when I started watching the show. I knew that it was like, when I started watching it back then, I knew that it was like an old show because I had seen black and white episodes of it on the ABC. They used to do like throwbacks, like old reruns or stuff like that. And my mum used to watch it when she was younger. So I knew that it had this rich history, and it wasn't until I got a little bit older that you kind of start to comprehend that without all that history before it, it wouldn't be in the here and now for you to enjoy it today. It has to change. It has to evolve. If we were still stuck in G1 with Transformers now, 40 years later, it would be utterly stagnant. We would have no new ideas. We wouldn't have the Unicron trilogy. We wouldn't have Generation 2. We wouldn't have Beast Wars. You wouldn't have the Bayverse films or animated or Prime or anything like that. It has to change in order to stay alive.
Yeah, I agree.
I remember the Doctor Who controversy when the female actress was named as the new Doctor Who, and everyone just sort of lost their shit about it because it was a woman, and they're going, oh, he's always been a man, time travelers are men, and all that. I'm thinking to myself, you're telling me that you can suspend disbelief that he travels in a small box through all these different dimensions, through time, through space, but you can't comprehend that maybe he could be a woman at one point of his, like, he dies and then he just comes into another body. It's just always been a man so far. That doesn't mean in the future it can't be a woman, or but they lost their complete collective nuts over it. And I was just sitting there going, this is just mind blowing. Like, and the same thing happens in Transformers when they do a gender swap or something. Like, when they made Skywarp a female, a few people were really upset about it. And they're going on about stolen glory because this new female Skywarp wasn't the old Skywarp. But it would be if it's just a gender swap, then theoretically the history from the old Skywarp still applies. you just put the word female in it. You know, like it sometimes to me those type of things just really make us seem toxic when we're not.
Mm.
Yeah.
I love my
exploration. Yeah, exploration and evolution of a fandom is necessary for it to stay alive. The reason I was so chuffed that Magnus submitted that fan, I want to honor that by putting it as early as I can in the podcast, was that, you know, what major sports do to keep the sport alive is foster and encourage the next generation to be involved in the game, to get, you know, to share something with their parents who might be mad about the game and go about it and learn it from a very young age. You know, I didn't grow up with Aussie rules, but to have something, you know, for my kids to go Oz kick to the next level, to the juniors, to the next level, like you're basically taking someone, holding their hand from the first infatuation with a fandom, and sport is fandom, right? And then helping them go through it. And I think, you know, again, when you neglect that, the fandom dies, or at least it goes into a coma for a very long time until someone brings it back, right? Now, going back to the mental health aspect, I think the other aspect is that if we can acknowledge that these fiction fandoms play a role in mental health, and have that in our mind, that when someone is struggling, that the community that they love can wrap around them and give them some level of support, that can really help change the direction of someone's life and their mental health. And again, if you look to sport, which was initially like very, very, you know, obviously professional sport, very male dominated when it started. We're starting to get more female representation. There's different leagues, there's different levels, there's different like aspects of it. And then when you're talking about these communities that people invest a whole lot in, and also that take the opportunity to care for people's health, mental or whatever, when it goes down, you know, a path that is not necessarily positive, right word I'm looking for, but when it goes down a path that is doing damage to that person, then that community learns how to wrap around people. And I think that's something that should be promoted in fiction as well. When someone's not doing well and they've been such an active part of the community, it would be so nice if the community wrapped around them. I'm back to Star Wars. I think it's the 501st Legion, right? They've got the stormtrooper costumes, they're all homemade costumes. They go out and they represent at charity days. They go, like, it strikes me from an outsider's point of view that that's a very positive way to take your fandom and turn it into a positive for the community. So, you know, it's really nice to have that discussion, and yeah, evolution of the hobby, I think, is, and welcoming new generations in is a crucial part of that. And I think it's nice when the fandom gets around things and uses our hobbies to support. I think there's a charity, Toy Foo, actually, in the UK.
Yeah, there is.
That does exactly that. They use the love of figures to support causes outside of but they use collecting as the vessel for it.
Toy Foo's, I'll just quickly go on it. Toy Foo's really cool because what they do is they get donated Transformers from big collections, and like, we're not talking about like, you know, one step changes or anything. We're talking about like people donate good stuff. And what they do is they go to TF Nation, they sell the product, and they basically say, like, they basically try and get the best price for it and everything like that, into donation, whatever. And then it goes, all the money goes to a thing, I believe, or at least it was in the past, I think they stay consistent, to a thing called Mary's Meals, which basically feeds the homeless. So that's really cool. So that's a really cool thing, something that I wish we kind of had here, but when obviously Australia's not big enough for anything like that, or for a convention. But that's
We haven't even got a TF con.
We have nothing here. We have nothing. We're too small, unfortunately. We're one of the biggest countries, but we just have too small a population. But that's one of the things I'm excited to go and support when I do go to TF Nation this year. Is definitely going to be doing some big purchases from Toy Food.
Yeah, and you're right on this meal. The show, my new friends at Transformers the shows, I call them friends because I've been giving it for their 24-hour live stream that they did recently. We thought 2 hours was a big stream, but they did 24 hours. Andy, Pete, and Paul are raising funds to feed kids that were going without food, and I was like, that's if that's a sign of a positron show and culture as opposed to Toxitron, positron show, that's the stem of it. So shout out to those guys and the work that they did. I would love to find out more about Toy Food, have them on the show, ask questions, and really get that aspect. And who knows? Maybe one day we'll get a con back for Australia. That would be phenomenal. I'd love that for TF. As we start to wrap up, because we have been going for a while now, and we need to get sleep at some point. Sleep is good for your health, by the way. Let's talk about. Hang on, let me just see if I'm missing anything. Rob says the biggest block for him is when the bank account says no. When his wallet starts.
Same.
Basically for that. So let's finish off by boundaries, right? So keeping it healthy for you, setting your boundaries, collecting what you enjoy, stepping back when needed, and staying in your lane. There's some aspects of kind of keeping it healthy. So we'll finish off with a bit of a round robin again. Go through the panel, and kind of your top tip to keeping it healthy. Now, the caveat to that is if someone says what you were going to say, you have to say something different, meaningful, right? Meaningful. You reckon you guys up for the challenge?
Yeah.
At like
Bring it.
10 o'clock on Sunday. All right. So I'll go last. All right. So I'll set myself that challenge. Let's go bottom up. Let's start with Fox this time. Fox, how do we keep this healthy? What's your top tip?
Well, for me, it's relatively easy because I only collect the Decepticons, so that eliminates half of the purchases right there. So when it's a Autobot heavy rotation, I'm good. I can sit that one out. Thank you very much. My wife set very clear boundaries. None in the actual house. I've got my own room, and I love that. But I'm not allowed them out in the main house, and that's fine. I understand that too. And apart from that, I still go out and physically hunt them more than I actually buy them online, I think, sometimes, because I like to go out there. I like to hold them. I like to feel them. I like to make my decision when I see them. So, that sort of helps me as well, because a lot of times I know I can get Skywarp currently if I wanted to buy them off the internet, but I'm not, because I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait till I see them at a store and then I'll purchase them. So, these little things that I've put in for me help me along the way.
Nice. Very nice. Mike?
Yeah, so similar to Fock, I've got a collection room as well, which was something I did. I basically have the rule of the collection all has to fit in the room. So as new things come in, old things go out, and I just keep it at a rotation like that. There's certain things that I'll never get rid of, but yeah, some things that I realize, I'm just not that interested in it anymore. They just go as new things come in. So, but yeah, basically, the other one too for me is that I don't really do completionism. Like some people like to get all of a series or whatever. I sort of just get what I like. So if you like it, get it. If you don't like it, don't force yourself to get it, would be my advice. Not for the sake of a completionism.
Very nice. Stel?
I basically I don't go all out buying every single little thing. Also not a completionist, because that's, for me, just not sustainable. I mean, fair play to anyone who is a completionist. If you can afford it, wonderful. I envy you. But I'll just look at what's currently available, and if I like the look of it, or if it's a character that I like, or if it's a character I'm not familiar with, but the toy just really catches my eye, I'll pick it up. Because my other big thing is I also buy Lego pretty often. Not as often as I used to, because that's also, you think Transformers are expensive. Lego is ridiculous nowadays. It's absolutely ridiculous. I think something that I've gotten good at, particularly as my collection has grown over the years, is that I've gotten good at recognizing when it's time to let go of something. If it's like a particular item that I haven't displayed, or if it's a Lego set that I haven't built for a while, I'll look at it and I say, you know what, time to find you a new home. You know, and so it's a double positive, because I'm getting some money back, and it's not rotting in a landfill. You know, someone else, it's going to someone else, whether it's another collector or whether someone is buying it for their children. You know, it's something positive is going out of it. Yeah.
Lovely. Mikey?
Yes. Basically, I'm very simple to sell. I pick my favorite characters and then I build around them. But then I also, when it's time to go, I'm very happy to let stuff go. There is some regret in that time. Like, look, if it's not really a thing about money, it's a thing about space. It's always space. I always prioritize what, like, my favorite character and how it can look good in the space. And basically, if I was to collect a line around that character, and then I'd keep the ones that are closest to the character, and then get rid of the rest, and like not see their use for them anymore. But yeah, I just keep it. I try to keep it simple now that I've opened up a lot more space. Now I'm thinking about what different things I can get. Just basically have your favorite kind of characters, have your favorite or core team or faction or whatever, and then like focus around that, and then just build off of that. And again, like Stel and most of you guys have said, don't be afraid to let some stuff go, especially if that does end up funding the new stuff, the newer figures.
Nice.
Cool.
Josh?
Okay, so if I get doubles of a character, I'll generally gift away the lesser version. If I get it and I have a muck around with it and the new one isn't as good as the old one, I'll keep the old one and pass on the new one. But it's generally getting rid of the old to replace with new stuff. So that's really important for me. And also, one of the most shockingly cool figures was Tarn. And having him sit cross-legged in front of all my other Decepticons on the bookshelf, he just looks so good. Crouching down with his mask on, his hands in his waist, he's super posable. And that whole Decepticon mask thing was just like, I couldn't resist that one. But yeah, I never throw things out. I always gift them on, and if they're damaged, that's okay. But that's all I should say.
You're giving other people the opportunity to enjoy that figure. That's what you're doing.
Right.
That makes it a bit easier. I want to talk about my contribution. to this in a second, but I want to give a shout out again to the two main groups in Australia that support us, as well as the other communities globally that are discovering us. We've got Transformers Down Under, Transformer Collectors Australia, and also Transformer Collectors New Zealand. I'm going to pull a couple of comments from posts we've done in that group. From Miles, there's a reason we're called plastic crack addicts, addictive personalities, possibly being on the spectrum, and nostalgia has its positives and negatives when it comes to any form of collecting. What starts as a small space on a bookshelf can end up you being on one of those boarding TV shows where the rallies are sending in help and dumpsters to kind of dig you out of it. I paraphrased a little bit for that. He said professional help, but you know, it is that, you know, and there's humor that goes into that. But yeah, the crack addicts. I wanted to acknowledge that comment by Miles, but I wanted to say I resonated with a comment by Ben Robinson, who's been a great friend of the show and supporter, again from New Zealand. The Kiwis. He says, I can't speak of anyone else, but I know it myself. Knowing myself, things aren't as overwhelming if I have clear direction, which you gents have talked about, and I agree, in what I'm collecting. Do I need every figure coming out? No. If I change my mind later on, there may be a reissue or can buy from this track. But there's a bit I resonated with him. One issue I would love to touch on is supportive partners. I don't know how some collectors do it when their partners do not understand the collecting, and the collecting becomes secretive. And I think that's a really good point. Lucky to supportive genuinely is excited for me when new figures drop, and I get excited. I've never once been pulled up on parcels arriving. It's something important to me, especially being so isolated at the bottom of NZ. And I got to say that, like, you know, all the things that everyone's raised is completely wrong. I shout out to my partner, Cara, my wife, long-term, very patient woman, having dealt with me for so many years. But even when I was, you know, in that period where things started to get out of control, she was so supportive and so understanding of what was happening, but at the same time encouraging for me to kind of find my way back. And she may not be excited when a new figure comes, but she's happy for me because she thinks it's a little ridiculous, but she thinks she's happy for me, and she sees the enjoyment that I get out of it, and that is a wonderful level of support. And I think that is one of the ways you keep yourself safe. And this is part of the beauty of an open forum, is that once we start to kind of get a little bit too secretive and a little bit closed in the echo chamber, as Fox described, it can go another way. So shout out to our NZs for that. My vote is for people who support you without even being involved in the hobby at all. So we'd love to hear from the audience in the replay. You know, what are your experiences with toxicity? How do you keep yourself safe? Have you ever felt burnout? Where's the line? Keep the conversation going. Keep in mind this fandom is for people, not just bots. And competition time. We're going to wrap up with this quickly because we are nearing on 2 hours for a stream. This is our longest stream ever. More power to you, Mikey and Michael, chopping this up into our shorts. I'll try and help you out with that. But competition time. We need to hit 86 subscribers, and then we're doing our first giveaway. We got two trendy little bumblebees coming out from our bumblebee collector, Michael. Thank you for donating. So we've got this statue of Bumblebee. He looks a little is he smiling? He's
kind of smirking.
He's kind of smirking, isn't he? Yeah,
kind of like the Buzz Lightyear smirk.
He is. Buzz Bumblebee. So when we hit 86 subscribers, we're going to work out how to draw this. And we're also going to draw this Hot Wheels Bumblebee as well, as a nice little thank you to our community and the people who are supporting us so early in the journey. And we really do appreciate you. If this has been your first watch, please do like, a subscribe, a comment, a share. It all means so much to us. We really want to be part of the community, support it, support members in it, collaborate with others, and we're really excited for it. So if you could like, subscribe, introduce, and share, we would really appreciate it, and that would be amazing. And I want to thank everyone on screen and off screen who's been part of the show up until this point. Please share it with a mate. We'll be announcing the new chats in advance as we get more runs on the board. We'll be posting these in the stream and coming up with chats in advance so you guys know what we're going to be chatting about. But thank you so much for your time tonight, everyone, on such an important chat. We're going to have D&Ms, we're going to have collection focus chats, and we're just going to have some chats that are just pure, like, ridiculous and fun and no deep topics at all. So please tune in, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Say bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.